Welcome to Seed to Life. I hope you're keeping safe and taking good care of yourself. Fall 2020 has officially begun in my region this week, and everything has changed suddenly. The lighting has changed, the plants are maturing, everything is so beautiful, and you can easily notice the changes in the environment. Everything feels so special and festive. Many festivals are celebrated worldwide during this period, and I think it is mainly because there is abundance of food during fall. I believe that during this fall season, most spring and summer veggies that we have planted, they get ready for harvest. And not just the fruits or veggies, but there are flowers that are blooming, and these flowers, the blooms, they get so much bigger during this season, and that is the reason that everything feels so special and colorful in your garden, and there is so much satisfaction that all the efforts that you have put throughout these 2 seasons, they are now paying off, and that is the reason people feel very happy and they like to celebrate it. There is one more reason why gardeners like me enjoy fall is that there are so many less pests now. The pests trouble you during all the spring and the summertime, and they don't let the plants grow. They eat your veggies, they eat the leaves, they just give you so much trouble. And then these caterpillars that were troubling you, they turn into beautiful butterflies and they start dancing on your flowers, and they look so much beautiful now. I think this season is also a breeding season for ladybugs because I see so many of them in my garden, and they are in different stages, different life stages. There are ladybug eggs, and then there are tiny baby ladybugs and the ladybug larvae, and there are so many of them. Suddenly they are like increasing in numbers, and they are just protecting my plants and the fruits, and they are taking care of everything. Today in this video, I'm not going to just talk about any specific plant and tell you how to grow it, but I'm going to share with you my beautiful garden, my beautiful fall garden. And it is not the best garden yet. It is still work in progress. We are doing so many changes and we are doing it by ourselves. But whatever we have so far, I really want to share it with you, and I hope you like it. So I have a backyard garden that is divided into 3 different sections, and the one section, it is small and it has mainly 2 grapevines and 3 raised beds, and there is a small flower bed and a beautiful rose bush, but that's it. So I grow mainly vegetables in this section. Then there is the main section of the backyard, which includes most like 80% of my backyard, and it has mainly fruit trees. And then we recently set up new raised bed in this area, and those 3 beds are also for vegetables. And then there are all the rest are the containers. The containers are the trees that we cannot keep them outside during winter. We have to get them inside because they cannot tolerate frost. And there is third section, that is a patio garden that I have to still work on more, but it has plants that require only few hours of sunlight, and I keep some of these plants in this section. In this empty pot, I have some saffron bulbs, and they grow in this season. They start sprouting, so I'm waiting for them to sprout anytime. Then I have some celosia plants, beautiful celosia plants, and I have them in pink in color. And then there is ornamental taro plant, that is elephant ear plant, and some lemongrass. This is an ornamental variety and not edible. I have another edible variety in one of my raised beds, but this particular one we cannot eat it. But all these plants are bordering my beautiful rose bush, and this is a white rose bush that I have, and it grows so many roses every season. Now is the season when it is going to bloom, because I can see so many buds. When it fully blooms, you can hardly see any leaves on it. that is how it blooms, and that is how many flowers it produces. It is really gorgeous, and it grows also beautifully, and it loves that spot, and it's healthy compared to my other roses that give me some trouble during rainy season, but this one is like easy to manage. Under these beautiful grapevines are growing my veggies, and there are like some herbs. So I have different types of basils in this first bed. You can see there is a Thai basil, sweet basil, and purple opal, I guess. I may be maybe identifying them wrongly. If you know more about the variety, because sometimes I get mixed up which variety is that, I forget. And so this is a sweet basil that I have, and behind that there is this beautiful kale plant that troubled me all spring and summer. I started it in spring, and it just, the pests were not leaving it alone, and finally now I have some beautiful luscious leaves that are not eaten by pests. So I'm very happy to harvest them now. And you can see here some spring onions that are growing, and these are my pea plants. This is mostly sugar snap variety. I'm not sure about it, but it could be something else, because I have grown these from the dried peas that we get from the grocery stores, and so I'm not sure. Next to these pea plants I have this gorgeous green eggplant, and you can see it is very beautiful and healthy plant, and it doesn't have any thorns, so it is very easy to handle. And other eggplants that I have many eggplants this year, and they are very thorny, and it is a nightmare to just even to take the fruits out. And currently I have two eggplants on this. It has recently started producing, and but the fruits, they are really big, so I'm really happy, and I'm keeping it separate so that I can save the fruit for the next year and save some seeds from one of these eggplants. In this second bed next to this Malabar spinach plant, I have these beautiful grapevine. They are Concord grapes, and I'm still like waiting for them to get ready. I don't know why they are not ripening yet, but I can't wait to harvest these grapes, and when they start ripening, they change the color very quickly. Like in couple of weeks you can see the grapes turning purple, and they're very tasty and sweet. In these plants I have these beautiful tuberose plants or Rajnigandha plants, and I'm waiting for the flowers to bloom. I grew many eggplants this year. I mean, whatever plants survived, I just planted them in these beds, and they are like producing a ton of eggplants now. And we have to eat them almost alternate day, otherwise they will just go bad. They will start producing seeds, and then they don't taste that good. I'm pretty sure that soon I won't be able to finish them, and I will have to give them or share them with my friends. But I'm happy. This is a good problem to have. Next to these raised beds I have these cute pink dual purpose and cheap plots or planters that are mainly used for supporting the grapevines or the other vines that I grow in these raised beds, but they also grow some beautiful flowers. These are actually paint buckets that I got only for $3, and they look so beautiful, and they're very sturdy. Along with the eggplants in this bed, I also have some winter vegetables that are growing, and some chili plants, Thai chili, and I started them late, so the plants are still tiny, and I may bring them inside and save them for the next season until the frost gets over after winter. Under these eggplants are growing my taro plants. Finally they have started growing again, and this year was exceptionally hot, and there were a couple of heat waves that lasted for almost a week or so, and it was really bad. So many vegetables that typically grow in summer, they were not growing this year. But finally I think I can get some good harvest from this plant. Look who is speaking. This is the wonderful zinnia. Zinnias are really very good plants to have in your garden because they attract so many beneficial insects. They attract bees and different types of butterflies and even hummingbirds. I really thank this plant because this is the plant in front of which I saw a real hummingbird face to face. He stopped in front of my face and fluttered his wings for a second and then just flew away. It's not just that they look beautiful, but they're so easy to grow. You hardly need any maintenance, and you can see that there are some seedlings that are growing under this plant. From the dried flowers, the seeds fell down and they're growing on their own. So they're really easy to maintain and they add so much beauty and they're so cheap. Like you can get the seed, one seed packet, and you can get tons of zinnias forever. All over my garden you will see many lemon trees and most of them are grown from seeds, and I'm just being patient and waiting for them to finally mature and produce some fruits. But so far I'm just keeping them in pot and they haven't grown any fruits yet. And then there is a blackberry bush that I have that is also potted, and this is my oregano patch that attracts many bees every year. Even during winter, it stays green and provides herbs. And also, the most important thing is that when nothing is growing in that part, it prevents the weeds and the grass growing in that area. And then there are more zinnias. And behind the zinnias, you can see there is a vine that has red stem. It is a horse gram vine, and it is not very common here in the US. I grew it from the horse gram beans, and these beans are very very nutritious. It is a superfood given to the horses for extra power, and but yeah, it is edible. Even humans can eat it, and there are some recipes that are made with these roasted beans, and they taste awesome. And I love those beans. You can even eat the sprouted beans, and this is the first time I'm growing these beans. And this is another vine next to it. It has like a bitter gourd like leaves. It is called as it is another rare vegetable that is not very famous. It is called cantola or spine gourd. It is again not a famous vegetable. In fact, it is a rare vegetable. You don't get it in all the Asian stores. So I'm happy that I'm growing it in my backyard and it is easily available to me whenever I want it. Coming to the other side of the backyard, you can see all the big trees and fruit trees. They are lined up with the fence. And then in the center again there are some vegetables and the containers in which I'm growing plants and trees. And you can see here one of my favorite plant, that is elephant foot yam and amaranth, red amaranth. And you can see there are leaves are big now because as the temperature is dropping down, the leaves get big and they are beautiful. And then there are some pepper plants. I have different varieties of pepper plants, and I think this one is a long green peppers. Most probably it is a poblano, but I'm not sure about it. And then there are some Thai chili plants that are growing in the next pot, and they're still tiny, so I'm not sure if I'm going to get any chilies this year. And here is the star variety of pepper plant that I'm growing this year. It is chocolate habanero. It is supposed to be very spicy, and now it has started producing many peppers. I can see them all over the plant and I can't wait for them to ripen. I hope they are as spicy as they have claimed. I really want to make some good spicy habanero sauce. I have this gardenia bush that is recovering from summer trauma, and then there are two beautiful jasmine sambac plants. There are two different varieties, and both are very fragrant, especially the one that has long petals. It is extremely fragrant. You can keep them in a bowl filled with water and you don't need any room freshener. And then my favorite moringa tree. It is one of my many moringa trees, and I recently grew some from cuttings from the same plant and from some other plants, and they are also doing well. And next to it is my watermelon, and you can see it is in container and it is already growing 2 to 3 watermelons, and you can see this one is almost ripened. This is a baby watermelon and it is very tasty. It has a very thin covering, and next week I think I can harvest this. And this is the first time I have grown the watermelons in container, and that too successfully. So I'm very happy, and next time onwards I'm going to keep them in container, because that way it is very easy to protect the plants from extremes of temperature or even the heavy rain. And no fruits, they don't get damaged, and I can protect the fruits easily. Behind this watermelon there are some turmeric plants that are growing, and you can see they are looking very healthy and they are very happy now. The temperature is perfect for them, and you can see the leaves are very shiny and healthy. And this is one of the easiest plants to grow, because once you plant it, just forget about it and they still grow very nicely. They need like very little fertilizers, and they are still doing well. And I have planted them along with this eggplant, and that eggplant is also doing really good. So I'm going to get many eggplants this year. And then there are my okra plants. So I am growing 2 different varieties of okra this year, and this is the one that is Louisiana variety. There is another one that is dwarf. It has the lines on it. I don't remember the name exactly, but both are very tasty. And this particular variety Louisiana, last year it produced the pods that were almost like 12 inches long, and they're so tasty. So I really like this variety. Next year again I'm planning to grow the same variety. Sesame seeds plant that I pruned back almost to the bottom, and it is coming back now and it is producing more seed pods. Behind that there is hyacinth bean plants, and they're producing more beans. And in the extreme heat of summer it stopped producing, and there were no beans for some time. So I was planning to remove the plant, but now as the temperature is going down again, there more seed pods are ready for harvest, and I'm happy that I didn't remove the plant. And this is my fig tree that has many fruits on it, and I'm hoping that before the winter starts the fruits mature and I get to eat those fruits. Otherwise they will just fall off if the temperature drops suddenly. Coming to my new beds, these are the new beds that we put this year, and you can see they are growing all okras and eggplants and cluster beans. So there are more okras here. You can see here one of the plant is in container, and the roots have grown through the pot into the raised bed. And in fact these plants are much bigger, the ones that are in container, because they are getting more nutrition now and the roots can go deeper. So they are doing much better than the other plants. And here are my cluster bean plants, and I started them from seeds this year, and I had to transplant them so many times, and I didn't think that they will survive, but they survived, and they're very tall now, like 4 to 5 feet tall, and they're producing so many cluster beans every day. I have to pick every day, and still there are more. Yesterday only I picked some like 100 grams of cluster bean. So every day I get around 100 grams from these 5 to 6 plants, and it is sometimes time consuming and I forget, but they still produce a lot. The main attractions of my third raised beds are these pigeon pea plants, because I waited very long for these plants to bloom, and now finally after 6 to 7 months they have started producing. So I made this no dig garden bed video, and in that I explained how I planted these pigeon pea plants, and they grew very fast, and but they were not producing anything. And now that the temperature is dropping, they have started blooming, and there are the new seeds or the beans are developing on these flowers, and you can see them here. Again, these are seasonal beans and they're not easily available, so you can get them only in Asian stores, that too very rarely. So I'm very happy that we are growing it in our garden and we don't have to depend on the stores now for pigeon peas at least. I also have these asparagus plants and the purple yam plants in the same bed, but because they were in the shadow they were not growing very well. And now I'm not sure, like I will have to take them and put them in container, especially the asparagus plants, because they are not winter hardy. This is the first year that I got some apples from my apple tree, and then again it bloomed, and I'm going to get couple more apples from this tree this year if these fruits are successful and they mature properly. And this is my rose garden. It has different varieties of roses, starting from red to yellow to orange to violet, and they are very beautiful. And also I have two different varieties of dahlia. There is pink one and the yellow one. This beautiful rose is called as ketchup and mustard. You can see why it is called that, because the petals are beautiful red and yellow, and they resemble very much like ketchup and mustard color. And this is then I have these beautiful dahlias that are blooming in my garden, and this is the first year I have these plants in the backyard. Here is another variety of dahlia that is yellow, and this is also beautiful, and this is the first year I have planted them here. I have these beautiful red roses, and I have this pink fragrant rose, and you can see the blooms are very big, and you can make rose petal jam or rose water with it. And this huge violet rose is also very beautiful, and it is fragrant too. So only one or two roses also can add so much beauty to the garden. I just love this color, and I just can't stop buying more roses. I keep on adding them, and then it is difficult to manage them. And I love spending time here admiring these roses every day. My patio garden is comparatively smaller this year. I haven't put many trees, but here is my pinwheel jasmine plant. It produces very beautiful, not fragrant, but very pretty white colored flowers. And then there are some herbs, like medicinal herbs like ashwagandha, lemongrass, which is really drying because I have to repot it now. And here is my plumeria plant. Plumeria tree you can call it. Now it is big and it usually produces pink flowers. This year I don't know what happened, it hasn't produced any flowers yet. Like I saw one at the beginning of the season in the early spring, and then it just stopped. This is my ginger pot. It is now, the ginger plants are much bigger than I showed them in the last video, and you can see the plants are looking much healthier now that the temperature is going down. And this is a goji berry plant. This is another superfood that I have. It is called goji berry, and they are becoming very famous recently. Dried goji berries are sold as snacks, and I don't really like the taste that much, but I still have them. And here are my hummingbird vines, and they are just volunteer plants. They just sprouted on their own, and now they are growing everywhere. Flowers are very pretty, and it doesn't take a lot of space, or it doesn't need a lot of maintenance, so I just keep them there. I didn't have good luck with the tomato plants this year. Didn't grow many of them. There are few that are growing currently, and this is, I think, cherry tomatoes. Next to it is my mango tree, and that I grew from seeds. And then here is my Cape gooseberry plant. I didn't This is a volunteer plant and I didn't plant it, it just grew on its own. This is again a ginger plant. And here is the highlight of the patio, that is my dragon fruit tree. And you can see it is decorated by this beautiful hummingbird vine, and it grows really well. This vine grows really well and it gets a good support for growing, and totally, like, together they make a very beautiful combination, and I love to have them here. And next to this couple is another couple, that is the dragon fruit and the holy basil. This holy basil plant that I have, I was not able to grow it from seeds because it was not surviving in the hot summer this year, and then suddenly it started growing here and I let it grow, and it has grown beautifully. It is already flowering and has started producing seeds. So it is a volunteer plant, and I'm happy that it volunteered, because I really want to have, I love these basil leaves. They are very they have medicinal properties, and they are very good for your like, they purify the blood. So I really like to eat them, and their taste is much stronger than sweet basil, and I love that taste. So my peppermint plant, it was a big plant that died completely, and it just came back now. It is growing in two different pots, and I'm hoping that it will survive now. But I think it is fine and it will grow back. And this is their neighbor, that is kidney beans and papaya seedlings. So I purposely planted kidney beans in this container because my papaya seedlings, they were not growing well. So I planted these beans to protect them from the high heat of summer, and they started doing well after planting these beans. And I can eat the leaves of the kidney bean plants, and we use them as green vegetables, and they are very tasty. And here are my asparagus seedlings. Not seedlings, they are not babies anymore, they are plants now. And I grew them from seeds, and I moved some of the seedlings to a raised bed, and they are not doing that great in the raised bed. So I think I should be moving all those seedlings in another container like this, because they seem to do well in containers. And then there are these two containers that are actually storage boxes, and one of them is actually a compost bin that I layered with the top layer of soil, and I'm growing sweet potato vines in it. So the black container that I have, it was completely a compost bin. It was filled with grass, and then I just used it as a container. I just topped it with some soil and cardboard and grew my sweet potato vine in it, and it is growing really well here. And I think in another month or so I'll be harvesting sweet potatoes from my garden. On the other side of the patio, I have this my red sorrel plants that I grew from cuttings, and then there is this golden gooseberry or Cape gooseberry plants that was brought to my garden by birds. It was just a gift. I didn't plant them. I didn't even know about this plant before. And this is it for now. I'm pretty sure that there are many things that I wanted to show you, like my compost beans and my neem trees, my tamarind trees that I grew from seeds, but I couldn't include everything in this video. It would have been very long. Already it is pretty long, and it is longer than my usual videos. I hope you don't mind it and you like this video, and please continue watching my channel. Thank you very much for supporting my channel, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And if you have already subscribed, don't forget to click the bell button to get notifications about the future videos and the updates. And see you soon. Thank you again.